Hi, I'm Xander Simmons. You're listening to Synchrony, a narrative podcast that takes you deep into the minds of its central characters using music and sound design. Let's cut to the chase. This episode is about fetishism. But it's just one take on it. You can have a fetish for just about anything, and it can come from pretty much anywhere. Not necessarily from trauma, not necessarily from abuse. But when it does come from these darker places, can the safe integration of a fetish into your sex life be the answer to transcending your past wounds? The main character of this next story is on a journey to find out. However, it's a story that won't be for everyone, as there are scenes of sexual violence that some might find disturbing.
I keep telling people, dominance isn't about using someone for your own self-gratification. It's about being in charge of who gets pleasure and when.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Some people just naturally prefer to be in the driver's seat. The control part of the relationship is profoundly unequal, yes, but fundamentally we're two human beings who were created the same, and you have to respect that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The thing that bothers me, though, is that they look at us and they tell us we're sick and twisted, but actually it's the other way around.
2, 3.
They're the ones holding on to their repressed desires that express themselves in all those insidious ways in our society.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6, 6, 7. 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 6, 1, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9,
Get out of the car.
What?
Get out of the car.
You're kidding me. I don't even know where we are.
You'll find a ride. Get out.
Are you serious? It's cold out, and it's almost dark. There's not many cars out here. Please.
I'm not going to tell you again.
Just drop me in the next town, or at a bus station or something.
There's not going to be any buses out here at this time. You'll find a ride.
You are unbelievable. You realize this is the last time you'll ever see me.
Are you surprised? That's what her dad would say now. I told you he was no good, he'd say. And he told him to his face when she brought him over for dinner that time. It didn't help that he worked at the fairground, of course. But what really swung it, what they should never have told him, was that they were polyamorous. Why the hell did Sean have to tell him that?
And we should be honest with him. He'll respect us more if we're honest.
This is my dad we're talking about.
Oh, come on, we've been together for over 2 years and you spent your whole life keeping him at arm's length. Someone needs to take the first step and say something real for once.
Anyway, that's the least of it. Because what her dad will never know is that no one can wreck her like he can. He's the best she's ever had. He shatters her like a vase and then pieces her back together again, filling the cracks with gold. Reward is as important as punishment, his profile reads. Good girls get anything they want. Well, that part isn't quite true, but it isn't really what interests her anyway. She wants to be bad, and she wants to be punished. She wants her buttocks to be rendered into abstract expressionist art for the world to see. He whips her blue and black and purple, and then takes photos, which she posts to her FetLife profile. She gets thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. Perhaps she should have guessed that the kind of guy who paints Mark Rothkos on ass cheeks was also the kind of guy who leaves you stranded in the middle of nowhere when he gets tired of you. She tries flagging down the approaching cars. 3 have already driven past without even slowing down. The light is almost gone, and she wonders if she's even visible. The next time she hears a car, she pulls out her phone and turns on the light, waving it in the road at the approaching vehicle. Same result. She checks again. Still no network on her phone. She starts to contemplate spending the night out here. Should she find somewhere to lie down, maybe try and get some sleep? Or should she spend the night walking? Perhaps if she walked all night, she'd reach a town by morning. But there's no moon tonight, and her phone is almost out of battery.
Are you getting in or what?
It's a guy. It had to be a guy. A cool, metallic terror drives itself up her spine. It's a fantasy she's rehearsed in her head many times. One of her favorites. Sometimes it gets rough, maybe even dangerously so. She pushes it right to the edge. Maybe he pulls a knife, or a gun, or even a tool he has lying around. Maybe one of those things that he holds at her ear hole, threatening to jam it into her brain if he so much as feels a scratch as she maneuvers her head up and down. But she's always able to come out if she feels like she's pushed it too far. It's like when you're practicing holding your breath in the bath and you throw your head up out of the water at the last moment for that deep gasp of relief. She's never fantasized about her own death. She's dreamt it many times, and sometimes she even wakes up feeling cleansed, as if relieved of a burden. More often, though, she wakes up screaming and isn't able to get back to sleep for the rest of the night.
Are you getting in or what?
Yeah, sorry. I just can't believe someone actually stopped. I've been out here for about...
Yeah, well, I haven't gone all night, so either you're getting in or you're not. Best decide.
She takes in her new surroundings. The car is scrupulously clean, the kind of cleanliness where even breathing feels like a violation. After a few minutes, she realizes she is gripping the edges of the passenger seat and has to force her fingers to unclench. The driver is staring straight ahead at the road, not paying her any notice. Hopefully it will stay that way, she thinks. But mostly, she's thinking about Sean. How could he do this to her?
Day, would you believe me if I told you I've been driving since sunrise? And I've got a long way to go yet. I can see you're anxious. Don't worry, I'm not going to fall asleep at the wheel or anything. I can go all night, no problem. I mean, one time I drove over 24 hours straight. It's possible. Depends on your temperament. Is that even the right word? I don't fall asleep easily, that's what I'm trying to say. Never could sleep on planes. Not even a minute. I don't do it often, mind you. Driving that long, I mean. But yeah, 15 hours is nothing.
5, 6.
I know it's being by myself that drives me crazy. After a while, I just start counting, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
5, 6, 7.
I'm not counting anything in particular, just counting. Counting up to the heaven, my grandmother used to say. Not sure why, but I think that's what gave me the idea. I mean, what else is there to think about?
2, 3.
Man, I was so glad to see you standing there.
6.
And I could tell you were pretty too, if you don't mind me saying. Even though it was dark, I could tell you were a looker.
7.
And I can see I was right.
1, 2.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to make you feel uncomfortable or anything.
6, 7, 8,
God, I'm talking a lot, aren't I?
1,
Like I
2,
said,
3,
been on the road
4,
for a long
5,
time.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You're not much of a talker, are you?
Seems like you got that one covered.
Oh, like I say, I gotta keep myself going,
Do what you gotta do. I just need to get home.
Yeah, well, like I keep telling people, dominance isn't about using someone for your own self-gratification. It's about being in charge of who gets pleasure and when. Some people just naturally prefer to be in the driver's seat. The control part of the relationship is profoundly unequal, yes, but fundamentally we're two human beings who were created the same, and you have to respect that. I post about this kind of thing all the time, to spread awareness, I guess.
Sean had always been into this idea of saving her. He would wax lyrical about alchemy.
But I feel like I'm just preaching to the choir, if you know what I mean.
About transforming her trauma into a golden energy that would change her life.
Some might say, well, who cares if those vanilla types don't get it? If they stand outside and judge, and yeah, sometimes it's best just to forget them and be thankful for the community we have.
You can't leave it trapped down there in the shadow, he'd declare as he untied her ropes. That was easy for him to say. He was just a kinky guy without any baggage. Well, so he claimed.
The thing that bothers me, though, is that they look at us and they tell us we're sick and twisted, but actually it's the other way around.
He was a daddy to a bunch of other women. But she felt like the reason he spent so much time with her was because he was trying to fix her. But she was the one who'd found him, and she had no intention of becoming his disciple, however much he was given to preaching.
They're the ones holding on to their repressed desires that express themselves in all those insidious ways in our society.
There was something slightly ridiculous about him, she had to admit. His preened moustache, his long black tunics, his meticulously clean dungeon filled with torture instruments he would never use.
And maybe if they allow some of it to come out in a safe, trusting space, they'd be able to get really in touch with their shadow side and stop poisoning the...
She laughed the first time she saw it. It was almost too cliche. He looked offended, turning his eyes to the ground like a shy little boy showing you his toys. But all this fell away when they began. It was like he grew taller, his features hardening, his gaze solidifying into an impenetrable wall that pushed her eyes away each time she tried to meet it. She could go further with him than with other men she'd been with. She trusted him, and he played his role perfectly, going only just up to her limit, which he could sense intuitively like a pro, dissolving the tension with a tender kiss at just the right moment. But his hand would remain clasped around her neck as he kissed her, pushing his thumb lightly into the base of her throat to remind her that he could begin again at any moment.
guess what that asshole did to me? He left me on the side of the road. He just left me out here in the country all on my own. 2 hours drive from the city, almost dark. My father...
I sell them. Big ones, small ones, some the same size as your head. No, but seriously, I'm selling all kinds of them. Short ones, long ones, short ones, long ones, short ones, long ones, short ones, long ones, short ones, magnetic, short ones, long wood handled, short ones, endless. It's become an obsession, kind of. Don't get me started, I usually say. But you did ask, didn't you? But where to start? You know, what most people want to know is how many you need. Well, what a question. I mean, for a start, you're going to need both metric and imperial sizes. So if I need a 1/4-inch driver to take a screw out of an expensive Porsche, then that's a 1/4-inch driver I'll need, not an undersized 6mm. So that'll explain my comprehensive snap-on and PB Swiss sets. Now, as for cut.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What business is it of his? But try telling him that. The worst part is he was right. He's not always right, though. No matter what he might tell you. Like the time he forced me to compete in that synchronized swimming competition. God, I was sick. I spent the whole morning throwing up. Just nerves, he said. And oh my God, I was sick afterwards. Of course, he never apologized.
Tungsten tipped. Man, I've always liked the way that sounded. Did you know that tungsten has the highest melting point of any element yet discovered? Over 3,000 Celsius.
He never really took an interest in what I liked. He never even asked. It was just important that I do well, that I compete and win, and that I look pretty. When I was winning, he was happy. Of course, he'd been losing for some time, after the first repair shop closed. Not just any, his flagship shop. He started pinning his hopes on my success, my stardom.
Then there's the electric ones. You know, like this one, for instance. It looks like a pretty standard model, right? But listen. Hear that? Smooth, isn't it? I find it quite beautiful, actually.
Okay, Sean, you're starting to freak me out now.
It's funny, like, when I got a big, powerful screwdriver in my hand and I pulled the trigger, I can feel myself getting a little hard. It's like I feel the power traveling down there to my dick and then rising back up my spine, through my arm into the machine. Then one shot and it's in. Bang. Done. Thank you very much.
No, Sean, listen. I'm not playing anymore.
Oh, who said anything about playing? Why don't we pull in over there so I can show you what these babies can really do? You're gonna love it.
Cherry bomb. Cherry bomb. I'm done, Sean. Cherry bomb.
What the fuck?
What do you mean, what the fuck? It's me who should be like, what the fuck? Who is that?
What? Well, I mean, I was just getting into the character, that's all. I don't know. You said you wanted to feel like you didn't know me.
Yeah, but seriously, that's too much. And what's with the screwdriver thing?
Huh?
You kept going on about screwdrivers. You know I have this thing.
What are you talking about?
I don't know whether it's because you forget or because you don't listen in the first place. But fuck, Sean. The thing at my dad's repair shop, remember?
Do you want to face it, or do you want to run away?
So you do remember. I don't want to go back there. I never want to have to relive that. Why do I get the feeling that all I'm doing is playing out the same trauma over and over? Sure, there's something that feels good about it, but why am I never satisfied?
The role plays were her idea. She got bored, as she always did, and he did his best to please her, as he always did. But she didn't think he would go there. Not after the way she'd opened up to him. She told him after that excruciating dinner at her dad's place. Sean had been bold, it's true, but she never thought he would throw them out. Perverts, he called them. That was when she knew there was no use going back there ever again. He was never going to change. On the drive home, she choked her whole story out. The control, the neglect, the abuse. And worst of all, the fact that he'd sided with his creepy partner over his own daughter. He'd called her hysterical. He'd shamed her into silence. And now it was her that was the pervert? Sean drove left-handed the whole way home, never letting go of her hand. He'd fix it, he said. They'd go deeper, harder, further. Because sex is not just sex. Sex is power, people say. But it's not about having power over people. It's about knowing what drives you and finding an inner, honest strength to fulfill your past, present, and future in one orgasmic release. Sex is a way of life. Sex is nature's answer to separateness, an invitation to join and become complete, not just with the other, but with your deepest self. He said all this, and much more. And she looked out the window, listening less and less, watching the clouds of words condense and drip off the glass. She missed the simplicity of physical pain, its reassuring concreteness. Had all this just been an elaborate distraction? No. Her sex life had brought her a special intimacy and trust with a man she loved deeply. When she gave herself to these moments, everything else dissolved. But it was true that she never stopped longing for something more penetrating, outside of the safety of her bath time fantasies. Something to liberate her from the past, not just another thrill that would leave her sated but unsatisfied.
Why have we stopped?
Last chance for a little intimacy before we reach the city. It's peaceful out here, no?
I told you I have a boyfriend. I'm not interested.
I'm not asking. I can tell you kind of like that, don't you, dirty bitch? You're already wondering how it might feel down there. Could feel quite nice if it was gentle, huh?
Please. Think about it. You don't want to do this.
Unzip me.
Please.
Here. I'll do it for you. Not so scary now, is it? Now take that dick in your mouth. And if I feel a scratch,
Synchrony is written, composed, and produced by Xander Simmons, mixed by Zach Scholes, and mastered by Guy Hébert. This episode stars Dina Renon as the passenger, Sebree Laurie as the driver, and Xander Simmons as the narrator. It also features beautiful vocals from Kate Markle. This podcast is made possible with support from the Canada Council for the Arts. Please do take the time to like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you heard. It goes a long way. Tune in next week for a completely fresh soundscape to immerse yourself in.